You're not ready for the truth, but you need it. Right now, somewhere deep inside you, there's a version of yourself you're ashamed of. The one who waits for texts that never come. The one who replays conversations wondering what you said wrong. The one who lowers standards just to feel chosen. The one who confuses attention with love and loneliness with connection. That version of you is weak, not broken, not unlucky. Weak, and the world doesn't respect weakness. It exploits it. You've been trained to chase validation like a drug. Every notification, every like, every half-hearted compliment hits your brain with a small dose of dopamine. Just enough to keep you addicted. Never enough to make you whole. You're not living. You're reacting. You're not choosing. You're begging. And the worst part, you call it love. Love doesn't make you anxious. Love doesn't make you question your worth. Love doesn't put you in a position where you feel like you have to earn basic respect. What you've been chasing is approval, and approval is the cheapest currency in the world. Right now, someone out there is walking through life with a presence so strong, so grounded, so self-contained that people feel it before they even speak. They don't beg, they don't chase, they don't negotiate their value. They are the standard, and you're not. But you can be. Not by reading quotes, not by pretending confidence, not by repeating empty affirmations in the mirror. You become that person by destroying the identity you're clinging to right now. Because your current identity is built on external validation. And anything built on something you don't control will always collapse. You want to love yourself. Then understand this. Self-love is not a feeling. It's a system. It's built through actions that prove to your brain that you are reliable, disciplined, and in control. Your brain doesn't listen to what you say. It watches what you do. Every time you break a promise to yourself, you weaken your identity. Every time you choose comfort over growth, you reinforce the belief that you are not someone who follows through. Every time you tolerate disrespect, you train people how to treat you. You think your problem is that people don't value you. No, your problem is that you've been demonstrating low value consistently. And the brain is brutal. It keeps score. Let's break this down at the level most people are too afraid to confront. Your dopamine system is hijacked. You wake up and reach for your phone before your feet hit the ground. That's your first loss. You've already told your brain, I don't control my impulses. Then you scroll, consume, compare, and your brain gets flooded with easy dopamine. Here's the problem. When dopamine is cheap, discipline feels expensive. So when it's time to do something hard, focus, work, build, train, your brain resists. Not because you're lazy, but because you've conditioned it to expect reward without effort. And then you wonder why you feel stuck. You are not stuck. You are overstimulated and underdisciplined. The solution isn't motivation. It's deprivation. You need to starve your brain of cheap dopamine so it can relearn how to value effort. That means silence in the morning, no phone, no noise, no external input, just you and your thoughts. At first it will feel uncomfortable, almost painful. Good. That's withdrawal. That's your brain recalibrating. And in that silence, something dangerous starts to happen. You begin to hear yourself clearly. Not the version shaped by social media, not the version chasing approval, but the raw, unfiltered voice that knows exactly where you've been lying to yourself. That voice will tell you the truth you've been avoiding. You settle, you hesitate, you overthink, you attach too quickly, you tolerate behavior that you know is beneath you. And until you face that truth without flinching, nothing changes. Self-love begins where self-deception ends. Now listen carefully. If you want to stop begging for love, you need to become someone who doesn't need it to feel complete. That doesn't mean you don't want connection. It means your identity doesn't depend on it, because the moment your happiness depends on someone else's behavior, you've lost power. Power comes from independence, not isolation. Independence. There's a difference. Isolation is weakness hiding from pain. Independence is strength choosing itself first. And suddenly, you're not the one chasing anymore. You're the one being chosen. But here's the twist most people don't expect. When you reach that level, you don't even care about being chosen the same way you used to. Because now you're choosing yourself first, and that changes everything. This is where most people stop. They get a taste of confidence, and they relax. That's a mistake, because the moment you stop training your mind, it starts slipping back into old patterns. So you need systems. Daily, non-negotiable systems. You wake up and earn your confidence. You don't wait to feel ready. You act. You move. You execute. Every single day. Because discipline is not something you turn on and off. It's who you are. And the longer you live like this, the more your identity solidifies. Until one day, you don't recognize the person you used to be. The one who begged, the one who waited, the one who doubted. That person is gone, replaced by someone sharper, stronger, colder when necessary, but deeply in control. Someone who doesn't chase love, because they've become someone worth loving. Someone who doesn't need validation, because they've built internal certainty. Someone who doesn't fear being alone, because they've built a life they respect. And that's the real goal. Not attention, not approval. Respect. From others, yes, but more importantly, from yourself. And once you have that, you will never beg again. Good. Because if you're still here, it means something inside you is waking up. Not fully, not yet, but enough to feel uncomfortable with who you've been. That discomfort, that's the beginning of power. Most people run from it. They distract themselves, numb it, scroll it away. You're not going to do that anymore. You're going to use it. Because discomfort is a signal. It's your mind telling you that your current identity is no longer acceptable. And now we go deeper. You've spent years building habits that weaken you. Not intentionally, but consistently. Every time you chose ease over effort, distraction over focus, approval over truth, you laid another brick in a weak foundation. Now you're trying to build confidence on top of that. It won't hold. So we rebuild from the ground up. You don't fix your life by chasing motivation. You fix it by eliminating negotiation. Right now, your brain negotiates everything. I'll start tomorrow. I'll do it later. I don't feel like it. That voice is not you. That's your lower mind, your survival system, trying to conserve energy and avoid discomfort. And if you keep listening to it, you will stay average. So we shut it down, not by arguing with it, by acting before it speaks. You wake up, move immediately, no thinking. You have a task, start instantly, no delay. You feel resistance, lean into it, no hesitation. Speed kills doubt. The faster you act, the less power your excuses have. And this is where most people fail, because they wait to feel ready. You will never feel ready. Readiness is a myth created by people who are afraid to start. Action creates readiness. Now listen closely. There's a version of you that already exists, in potential, more disciplined, more focused, more respected, more dangerous. But that version of you doesn't come out through comfort. It comes out under pressure. So, we introduce pressure on purpose. You set deadlines that scare you. You take on challenges that stretch you. You put yourself in environments where average behavior is exposed instantly. Because growth doesn't happen in safety, it happens in demand. Now let's talk about something you've been avoiding, your inability to be alone. This is where most people lose their power completely. They can't sit in silence without reaching for something. Music, phone, people, noise. Why? Because silence forces you to face yourself. And right now, you don't fully like what you see, so you escape. But here's the shift. The moment you learn to sit alone, without distraction, without needing stimulation, without needing validation, you become dangerous, because now you are not dependent. And a person who is not dependent cannot be controlled. That's the level we're building. You need to create daily isolation periods. No phone, no noise, no input. Just you and your thoughts. At first, your mind will race. You'll feel restless, irritated. Stay there, because underneath that chaos is clarity, and clarity leads to direction. Now let's move into social power, because you don't just want internal strength. You want presence. You want to walk into a room and be felt. That doesn't come from trying to impress people. It comes from removing the need to. Most people enter social situations asking, "Do they like me?" That question makes you weak instantly. You walk in seeking approval, and people sense it. You flip that. You walk in asking, "Do I respect these people?" Now you're evaluating. Now you're in control. That one shift changes your entire energy. Your posture adjusts. Your eye contact strengthens. Your tone stabilizes. Because now you're not there to be accepted. You're there to decide. That's dominance. And here's the key. Most people miss. Dominance is not loud, it's controlled. The loudest person in the room is usually the weakest. Real power is quiet, observant, precise. You don't react to everything. You don't laugh at everything. You don't speak just to fill space. You choose your moments. And when you speak, people listen, because your words are not constant. They're calculated. Now let's get even more real. Some of you are still chasing someone who doesn't choose you fully. You're hoping they'll change, hoping they'll see your value, hoping they'll come around. Stop. Hope is keeping you stuck. You don't build a powerful life on hope. You build it on standards. If someone is inconsistent with you, they are not your person. If someone makes you question your worth, they are not your person. If someone only shows up when it's convenient, they are not your person. And the longer you tolerate that, the more you damage your self-respect. Walking away is not loss, it's alignment. But you won't walk away until you believe you deserve better, and you won't believe you deserve better until you prove it to yourself through action. Everything connects. Now we step into deep work, because without focus, none of this scales. Your ability to sit down and concentrate without distraction is one of the most valuable skills you can build. And right now, it's weak because you've trained your brain to switch every few seconds. Notification, scroll, video, message, repeat. That's not focus, that's fragmentation. So we rebuild it. You start with 30 minutes of uninterrupted work. No phone, no tabs, no distractions. Just one task. It will feel hard. Your brain will look for escape. Ignore it. Because every time you resist distraction, you strengthen your control. And control is everything. You extend it to 60 minutes, then 90. You build the ability to go deep. And once you can go deep, you separate yourself from 99% of people. Because most people can't sit still long enough to create anything meaningful. Now let's talk about emotional control. Because life will test you. People will disrespect you. Situations will frustrate you. Plans will fail. And in those moments, your reaction defines you. Weak people react emotionally. Strong people respond intentionally. You need space between stimulus and response. So, when something triggers you, you pause, you breathe, you observe, and then you choose your reaction. That pause, that's power. Because now you're not controlled by the moment. You're controlling yourself. And that's rare. Now everything we've built is leading here. Identity. Because once your identity shifts, everything becomes easier. Right now, you're trying to act disciplined. That's temporary. You need to become disciplined. You need to see yourself as someone who follows through, who holds standards, who moves with intention. And identity is built through repetition, daily actions, consistent behavior, non-negotiable standards, until it becomes automatic, until it becomes you. And when that happens, you don't chase love. You attract it. You don't beg for attention. You command it. You don't fear being alone. You value your space. That's the transformation. And if you felt something shift inside you during this, don't ignore it. Because This is the moment most people waste. They feel inspired, and then they do nothing. You're not most people. So prove it. Right now. Not tomorrow. Not later. Now. Turn this into action. Stand up. Fix your posture. Breathe deeply. Reset your state. Then choose one thing you've been avoiding and do it immediately. No hesitation. No thinking. Just action. Because this is where your new identity begins. And if you're serious about becoming stronger, sharper, and completely in control of your life, subscribe to the Motivational Audiobook Spot. This isn't entertainment. This is transformation. Stay locked in, because the next level will demand even more from you. You think you're making progress, but there's still a hidden weakness controlling you. It's subtle, quiet, almost invisible, and it shows up in one moment. When things get hard, you slow down, not stop completely. That would be obvious. You still move, but with less intensity, less focus, less urgency. That's the leak. That's where your potential is escaping. Because high performers don't just work. They maintain pressure when everything in them wants relief. Right now, your identity is still tied to comfort cycles. You push, then you reward yourself too early. You focus, then you drift. You build momentum, then you break it. And every time you break momentum, you reset your progress. That's why you feel like you're always starting over. So we fix that. You stop living in cycles and you start living in standards. Standards don't change based on mood. Not because you feel confident, but because you've proven consistency. You say you'll do something, and you do it. Every time. That builds internal credibility. And internal credibility is the foundation of self-respect. Once you have that, you don't need external validation, because you know who you are, and when you know who you are, your behavior becomes predictable in the best way. Disciplined, focused, controlled. Now let's bring it back to love, because that's where this all started. You wanted to stop begging for it. Here's the truth. You don't stop begging by forcing yourself to not care. You stop begging when your life becomes so structured, so purposeful, so aligned, that you don't have time to chase people who don't match your level. Your standards eliminate your desperation. Your discipline eliminates your insecurity. Your identity eliminates your need. And then love becomes a choice, not a dependency. You choose who enters your life. You choose who stays. You choose who leaves, from a place of strength, not fear. And that's the level most people never reach. But you're getting close. Closer than you've ever been. Now this is where everything gets decided, because information without execution is useless. You've heard the truth. You've felt the shift. Now you either act or you go back to who you were. There is no middle ground. So here's your command. Pick one area of your life where you've been weak. Just one. And attack it. Fully. Today. Not perfectly, but aggressively. Because perfection is another form of delay. Action is what transforms you. And if you're still here, still listening, still locked in, then you're not average. But don't prove it with words. Prove it with behavior. And if you're serious about building a mind that doesn't break, a presence that commands respect, and a life that runs on discipline instead of emotion, stay with the Motivational Audiobook Spot. Because what's coming next will push you past limits you didn't even know you had. You're still holding back, not in obvious ways, not in ways other people can easily see, but you feel it. That hesitation right before you go all in, that second where you almost commit, then pull back just enough to stay safe. That's the line, and your entire life is sitting right on it. Because average people flirt with effort. Elite people cross the line and burn the bridge behind them. Right now, you still have an escape route. You tell yourself you're trying. You tell yourself you're working on it. You tell yourself it takes time. No, that's protection language. That's you giving yourself permission to stay the same while feeling like you're changing. Real change doesn't feel comfortable. It feels aggressive. It feels like you're cutting off parts of yourself that you've carried for years. because you are. You're cutting off the identity that hesitates, the identity that seeks approval, the identity that needs reassurance before taking action. And what replaces it is someone decisive. Now listen carefully. Decisiveness is power. Indecision is weakness. Every time you delay a decision, you drain your energy. Every time you overthink, you create doubt. Every time you wait for clarity, you lose momentum. Clarity doesn't come before action. Clarity comes from action. So you start deciding faster, not recklessly, but confidently. You choose a direction, and you move. If it's wrong, you adjust. But you don't freeze, because freezing is what's been killing your progress. And now we take this deeper into identity control. Right now, your identity is still influenced by your past. Old failures, old habits, old patterns. You remember who you were. And you keep acting accordingly. That stops now. You are not your past behavior. You are your current standard. And your standard is set by what you tolerate and what you execute. So raise it. Immediately. You don't wait for a perfect moment to become disciplined. You decide that from this moment forward, your baseline is different. You don't skip what you said you'd do. You don't delay what needs to be done. You don't entertain distractions that weaken you. Not sometimes. Always. That's how identity shifts fast. Now let's talk about something that separates the top 1%. Ruthless focus, not just the ability to concentrate, the ability to eliminate. Most people try to add more to their lives, more goals, more plans, more information, and they stay stuck because they're scattered. Power comes from subtraction. You remove what doesn't matter. You cut distractions. You cut unnecessary conversations. You cut habits that don't serve your future until your life becomes simple, focused, sharp, and when everything is aligned in one direction, your results multiply. Now, here's where it gets even more intense. You need to develop intolerance, not towards people, towards your own excuses. Right now, you still tolerate too much from yourself. You let things slide. You justify delays. You accept half effort. That's over. From now on, you catch it instantly. The moment you feel yourself slipping, you correct. Immediately. No waiting. No, I'll fix it tomorrow. Correction happens in real time. That's how you build discipline that doesn't break. Now we step into something most people avoid completely. Self-confrontation. You need to be brutally honest with yourself, daily. Not in a negative way, in a precise way. Where did you hesitate today? Where did you waste time? Where did you act below your standard? You don't ignore it. You face it. Because what you don't confront controls you. And what you confront, you can change. This is how you eliminate weakness at the root. Now, let's shift into your environment. Because your environment is either reinforcing your growth or destroying it. Look at your circle. Look at the people you spend the most time with. Are they disciplined, focused, ambitious, or are they comfortable, distracted, average? Because, here's the truth, you will become the standard of your environment. So, if your environment is weak, you either elevate it or you leave it. There is no third option. Now, this doesn't mean you cut everyone off overnight. It means you become more selective, more intentional. You protect your energy. You protect your focus because you're building something now, something real. Now, we bring everything together. You've worked on your mind, your discipline, your focus, your emotional control, your presence, your standards. And now, you start to feel it. That shift, that internal solidity, where you're no longer easily shaken, where your mood doesn't control your actions, where your confidence doesn't depend on external validation. That's the beginning of real power. And from that place, everything changes. The way you walk, the way you speak, the way you think, the way you choose, you're no longer reacting to life, you're directing it. And when you reach that level, you don't just attract opportunities, you create them. Because now, You're operating from intention, not impulse. Now listen closely. This is where most people slow down. They reach a certain level, and they get comfortable again. That cannot happen to you, because the moment you relax your standards, your old identity starts creeping back in. So you stay sharp, you stay aware, you stay disciplined, not out of fear, but out of commitment to who you've become. And now, we bring it to the final level, legacy, because this isn't just about you anymore. It's about what you build, what you represent, what you leave behind. Are you someone who almost changed, or someone who actually did? Are you someone who talked about potential, or someone who executed on it? Because at the end of all this, that's the only thing that matters. Not what you planned, not what you felt, what you did. So, here's your final challenge. No motivation, no hype, just truth. You already know what you need to do. You've known it for a long time. You've just been avoiding it. Not anymore. You act immediately, decisively, relentlessly, because this version of you, the one who hesitates, who doubts, who waits, it doesn't exist anymore. You've outgrown it. Now prove it. And if you're ready to keep evolving, to keep sharpening your mind, to keep building a life that commands respect without asking for it, stay with the motivational audiobook spot, because this is not where it ends. This is where you become someone unstoppable. You're close now. Not close in time, close in identity. There's a version of you forming that doesn't feel like the old you anymore. You notice it in small moments. The way you catch yourself before slipping, the way you pause instead of reacting, the way you choose discipline when your body wants comfort. That's not motivation, that's transformation. But this is also the most dangerous phase. Because right here, right when you start to feel progress, your mind will try to reward you too early. It will whisper, "You've done enough." And if you listen to that voice, you fall back. So, understand this clearly. Progress is not permission to relax. Progress is proof that your system is working. And systems don't stop. They run every day. No exceptions. Now we take you to a level most people never reach. Self-command, not discipline. Command. Discipline is when you force yourself. Command is when there is no resistance left. When your decision is final, the moment it's made. You say, "Do it," and your body moves. No debate, no delay, no emotion involved. That's where you're going. But to get there, you need to eliminate one last weakness: emotional attachment to outcomes. Right now, you still get affected by results. If things go your way, you feel high. If they don't, you feel low. That's instability. And instability creates inconsistency. You need to detach from outcomes and attach to execution. You don't control results. You control actions. So your focus shifts completely. Did you show up? Did you execute? Did you meet your standard? That's it. If yes, you win, regardless of outcome. This is how elite performers stay consistent, because their confidence doesn't depend on results. It depends on execution. And let's go deeper into something that will change how people see you instantly. Energy. Not fake hype, not forced positivity, controlled intensity. When you walk into a room, your energy should be grounded, calm, focused, aware, not seeking attention, not avoiding attention, centered. That kind of energy makes people adjust to you, because you're not reacting to the environment. You are the environment, and that comes from internal stability, which you build through everything you've been training. Now here's something most people never understand. Attraction is a byproduct. When you stop chasing and start building, everything you used to chase starts coming toward you. Respect, attention, opportunities. But here's the key. You don't break your focus when they arrive. You don't lose your structure. You don't drop your standards, because that's the test. Can you stay disciplined when things get easy? Or do you only perform when things are hard? Real power is consistency across both. Now, we move into precision, because at this level, small mistakes matter. Wasting an hour matters. Breaking a promise to yourself matters. Letting your focus slip matters. So you tighten everything. Your schedule becomes intentional. Your habits become automatic. Your decisions become faster, cleaner, sharper. There's less noise in your life now, less confusion, less hesitation, because you've removed what doesn't align. Now let's confront something deeper, your internal dialogue. Even now, there are moments where you doubt yourself, where a voice questions if you can really sustain this, if you'll fall back again. That voice is your past trying to stay alive, and it will keep showing up until you starve it. You don't argue with it, you don't fight it, you replace it with action. Every time doubt appears, you execute immediately. That's how you kill it, not with words, with proof. Now, here's the shift that locks everything in. You stop seeing this as something you're trying to do, and you start seeing it as who you are. You are disciplined, you are focused, you are controlled, you are someone who follows through. Not sometimes, always. Identity first, behavior follows, and once that locks in, you become unshakable. Now we bring it back to where this all started. Love. You wanted to stop begging for it. Look at you now. You're no longer chasing. You're no longer waiting. You're no longer tolerating less than your standard. Because now you respect yourself. And self-respect changes everything. You don't allow inconsistency. You don't accept disrespect. You don't invest where there is no return. Not out of ego, out of clarity. And from that place, you build real connections. Not based on need, based on alignment. And that's rare. Now this is the final elevation. Ownership. Complete ownership. No blaming people. No blaming circumstances. No blaming your past. Everything in your life is your responsibility. Your habits, your results, your environment, your standards, all of it. Because the moment you take full ownership, you take full control. And control is what you've been building this entire time. Now here's the truth. Most people will never accept. This path doesn't end. There is no finish line. No moment where you arrive. You either continue evolving or you start declining. So you stay on it. Not because you have to, but because it's who you are. And that's where freedom comes from. Not doing whatever you feel like, but becoming someone who is in control of what they feel. Now this is your moment. Right here. Not later, not tomorrow. Now. You've heard everything. You've felt the shift. You've seen what's possible. So the only question left is, are you going to live this or just remember it? Because information doesn't change you. Execution does. So move. Take action. Immediately. And don't stop. Because the person you're becoming doesn't hesitate, doesn't negotiate, doesn't go back. And if you're committed to that level, if you're serious about becoming someone who commands respect, controls their mind, and builds a life that doesn't depend on anyone else's validation, stay with the motivational audiobook spot. This isn't content. This is a standard. And once you adopt it, there's no going back. Now it gets real. Because everything you've heard so far means nothing if you can't hold it when life hits back. And it will hit back. Harder than you expect. At the worst time. When you're tired, when you're distracted, when you think you're finally gaining control. That's the test. Most people fail. Not because they're incapable. Because they're unprepared. You've been building strength in controlled conditions. Now, we prepare you for chaos. Because real power is not what you do in perfect situations. It's what you do when everything is against you. When your plans break, when your energy drops, when people disappoint you, when nothing feels aligned. That's where your real identity shows up. So, we train for that version of reality. You stop expecting perfect days. You expect resistance. You expect problems. You expect setbacks, not in a negative way, in a prepared way. Because when resistance shows up and you're ready for it, you don't panic, you execute. That's the shift. Now let's talk about pressure. Pressure exposes everything. It exposes your habits, your mindset, your level of control. Right now, under pressure, you might still tighten up. You might rush decisions. You might lose clarity. You might react emotionally. That ends here. Because from now on, pressure becomes your advantage. You train yourself to slow down when things speed up. When everyone else is panicking, you become precise. You breathe slower. You think clearer. You move deliberately. That's control. And control under pressure is what separates leaders from followers. Now we take it deeper. Pain tolerance. Not physical pain, mental discomfort. Right now, you can handle some discomfort, but you still have a limit, a point where you start looking for escape, checking your phone, switching tasks, delaying decisions. That limit needs to expand. So you push it, daily. You stay in uncomfortable states, longer than you want to. Focused work, silence, difficult tasks, hard conversations. You don't leave when it gets hard. You stay. And every time you stay, your tolerance grows. Until what used to feel difficult becomes normal. That's how you evolve fast. Now let's talk about discipline at a higher level. Most people think discipline is doing things when you don't feel like it. That's basic. Real discipline is doing things perfectly, even when no one is watching. Your standards don't drop when you're alone. Your effort doesn't drop when there's no reward. Your focus doesn't drop when it's boring. Because you're not performing for others anymore. You're building yourself. And that requires integrity, the kind that doesn't need validation. Now here's something most people avoid completely. Sacrifice. You want a different life. It will cost you your current one, your habits, your routines, your comfort, your environment, some relationships, some distractions you're still holding on to. You don't upgrade your life by adding more. You upgrade it by removing what doesn't belong. And that removal process, it's uncomfortable, but necessary, because you can't carry your old identity into your new life. Now, let's bring it back to your mind, because even now, there are moments where your thoughts drift, where you lose focus, where you start thinking about things that don't matter. That's mental leakage, and leakage kills momentum. So you tighten it, you become aware of your thoughts in real time. The moment your mind drifts, you pull it back, immediately. No frustration, no judgment, just control. That's mental discipline. And over time, your mind becomes sharp, directed, intentional. Now we step into something powerful, self-trust under uncertainty. Because not everything will be clear. Not everything will go according to plan. There will be moments where you don't know what to do next. And that's where most people freeze. You won't, because you trust your ability to figure it out. Through action, through adjustment, through persistence. You don't need perfect clarity. You need movement. And movement creates direction. Now, everything is coming together. You've built control, focus, discipline, emotional stability, presence, standards. And now, you become relentless. Not in a loud, aggressive way, in a quiet, unstoppable way, where you just keep going. No matter what, no drama, no excuses, no stopping. That's rare, and that's powerful. Now let's bring this to the final shift. Identity permanence. Because right now you've changed. But it still feels like something you're doing. We make it permanent by removing the option to go back. You don't try to be disciplined anymore. You are. You don't work on your mindset. It's already set. You don't build confidence. You operate from it. This is who you are now. And when that locks in, your life becomes predictable in the best way. You execute, you improve, you evolve daily. without needing motivation. Now listen carefully. This is your final moment of decision. Because everything after this depends on what you do next. Not what you feel, not what you think, what you do. You either step fully into this identity, or you drift back into your old one. There is no middle ground, no half commitment, no "I'll try." It's a decision, a clean, sharp decision, and once it's made, you don't look back. So here it is. The final truth. No one is coming to save you, no one is going to push you every day, no one is going to build your life for you. It's you. Only you. And that's not pressure. That's power.